All right, I am recording this session. I am so pleased to present to you Jason Keys, who is a recent graduate of the Master of Science in Holistic Nutrition from Hawthorne University. This is his master's thesis that he is presenting today. Go ahead, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ludwig. Welcome, everyone. So welcome to the wonderful world of fruits. So before we delve into the pulp and the core of this research, I want to give you guys a pop quiz here. So don't worry, this quiz, it's very short. I'm just going to show you 4 pictures of different fruits. So all you have to do is identify these 4 fruits. So keep score for yourself and see how many you can identify. So here's the first one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
here's the second one.
Perfect.
And the third one.
Very pretty.
Pretty fruits, right? Beautiful colors. And fruit number 4. Okay.
Perfect.
So now here are the answers. Okay. So how many fruits could you identify? I'm guessing probably less than half.
Yes.
So why am I showing you pictures of these 4 fruits? Well, these fruits are all native to the United States, and they are all imbued with these fantastic chemicals called phytonutrients that have these incredible anti-cancer, anti-diabetic, and cardioprotective properties, as well as, sundry other health benefits. So on top of this, they can be grown abundantly with very little effort. So this is a possible natural, copious, nutritious, and free source of treatment for 3 of America's leading causes of death, which cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer. And yet these fruits are largely unknown to the public. Okay, so you may have noticed that this presentation is about fruits from Taiwan, right? Not from North America. So you must be asking, why Taiwan? Why did I choose such a small island to focus my research on? Well, when I was 26 years old, I decided to pack everything I own, leave the US, and try to make a life in Taiwan. It was an exotic locale that was foreign to me, and I didn't even speak a word of the language. It was scary, and it was exhilarating and wonderful. And fast forward to today, and I've now been living and teaching in Taiwan for over 20 years. I'm fluent in the language, and the people here have taken me in with open arms. Taiwan is my home, and I love the culture, the vibe, and the people here. I feel like I'm sort of Taiwan's adopted son. And I'm driven by the gratitude for this place and wanting to give back and contribute to improving the lives of the people around me. And this is how I feel I can contribute with this the research that I've done here. So one thing that I noticed when I first moved here to Taiwan were these strange and exotic fruits that I couldn't find in the U.S. And I would see these fruits being sold in the markets and from the roadside vendors. So this curiosity for these fruits, for these novel fruits, turned into a passion over the years. And I became something of a fruit hunter, taking long excursions and jungle hikes to find new and rare fruits. So over these 20-some years of living in Taiwan and exploring Taiwan, I've witnessed, to my dismay, a reduction of the number of these fruits that I see all around, and being sold in roadside vendors or other places. And I've also noticed the shift as Taiwan has shifted from an agrarian society to an industrialized society, and I've seen the gradual reduction in kind of natural foods that you see around Taiwan. So as this industrialization of Taiwan has occurred over the last 20, 30 years, I noticed the change as Taiwan started to embrace Western culture, and I witnessed the gradual pervasiveness of fast food joints, as well as junk food candy and other Western exports, as they slowly made their way into Taiwanese culture. So, going out to eat or eating with my friends or relatives, more and more processed food on the plates and fewer of my beloved fruits and vegetables. So along with the shift to a more westernized society, along with the shift to a more westernized way of life, also came the detrimental byproducts of this way of life. So I noticed in my classes, the students' waistlines getting bigger and bigger over the years. Many of my students and friends started having the same health problems as my friends back in the States, specifically, cardiovascular problems like elevated cholesterol, high blood pressure, as well as, high fasting insulin levels and diabetes. And I started hearing more and more stories from my friends and family in Taiwan of loved ones dying from cancer as well. Which led me to my previous research projects at Hawthorne on childhood obesity in Taiwan. And I wanted to find solid evidence that what I was seeing with my own eyes wasn't an illusion. So if you look at these four pictures, the parallels are all too obvious. It's no secret that obesity has plagued American culture for decades now, but I was shocked and concerned to see this trend exporting itself and landing on the shores of Taiwan as well. So my research led me to explore dietary patterns in Taiwan, and I was stunned to find that Taiwan has become the most westernized among studied Asian countries in regards to changes in dietary pattern. An ever-increasing trend of red and processed meat, and ultra-processed food, and a decreasing trend in fruits and vegetables. And this is exactly what I was seeing with my own eyes, what I witnessed in Taiwan. So this gradual change in dietary pattern and westernized lifestyle also influenced the burden of disease in Taiwan. So the leading causes of death in Taiwan now very closely mirror what we see in the US and other industrialized nations, with cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer being three of the leading causes of death. Now, these two fields of research that I'm passionate about and that I love, one, my passion for fruits on the one hand, and the health and well-being of the Taiwanese people on the other. So these have always been two disparate and compartmentalized ideas in my mind. And the epiphany that brought these two ideas together and the catalyst that started the ball rolling on this thesis was something that I came across while studying for my master's degree in holistic nutrition at Hawthorne University. There was a chapter in one of the textbooks called Focus on Phytochemicals, or phytonutrients, right? Which are these beneficial and health-promoting compounds found intrinsically in plants. Now, I already had a basic understanding of what phytonutrients were at that time, but what I read in this chapter, it blew me away. Besides the general macro and micronutrients that plants and fruits possess, plants also contain sundry phytonutrient compounds that not only help us prevent disease, but also ameliorate certain diseases that have already manifested. And these diseases include, you guessed it, three of the leading causes of death in Taiwan: cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer. So as I was reading through this chapter, this light bulb went off in my head, and I feverishly started researching the phytonutrients of the fruits that I see growing abundantly in Taiwan. And I found, wow, they all have these amazing disease-fighting properties. And I started seeing mulberries as these little anti-cancer powerhouses, and I would see jackfruit as a diabetes killer. So I also started spreading, the news to my friends and family in Taiwan about these the amazing properties of these fruits. and the protection that they offer from the diseases of affluence that are riddling Taiwan. Unfortunately, I found that many of these healing fruits remain unknown or ignored by the general public in Taiwan. So that an abundant, inexpensive, and potential path to relief from disease and suffering, and it's largely being ignored. So this was the genesis for my thesis research, which leads me to my thesis objective. So what am I trying to accomplish with this research? Well, first, I want to address the issue of rising rates of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer in Taiwan, to establish the link between diet, lifestyle, and diseases of affluence. And second, I want to analyze the phytonutrient composition and potential health benefits of 4 underutilized fruits in Taiwan and their contribution in staving off and ameliorating these diseases by means of their intrinsic cardioprotective, anti-diabetic, and anti-cancer properties. And third, my goal is to use this thesis as a launching pad to propagate knowledge and use of these disease-fighting fruits. So I believe this research will provide insight and assistance in helping Taiwanese implement a holistic approach to staving off these diseases that have taken hold and afflicted the Taiwanese population at large. It's my hope that this research will be a positive contribution to the promotion and well-being of the Taiwanese populace. Okay, so now there are copious amounts of fruits that grow well in Taiwan. It's a tropical, subtropical climate, so it's just teeming with fruits. So how did I narrow down the choices of fruits to research? So the fruits that I chose, fruits were chosen on the following criteria. Prevalence of the fruit in Taiwan, of course, that's important. Low maintenance and ease of growing, ability to easily identify the fruit. So anyone walking or hiking in the, in the woods here, they can see a mulberry. I know that's a mulberry, and they can pick some, right? Lack of toxicity is important, and high phytonutrient composition and high potential health benefits of the fruit. Okay, so the fruits that fit this criteria and were ultimately chosen were 1, the black mulberry, the Morus nigra, the Jaboticaba, Myrciaria cauliflora, the jackfruit, Artocarpus heterophyllus, and the golden berry, Physalis peruviana. These are the 4 that all fit these qualifications perfectly. Okay, so my research methodology was to limit my research to peer-reviewed, published scientific data. So a comprehensive search of peer-reviewed studies from electronic databases, PubMed, Google Scholar, and Library and Information Resources Network, or LEARN, and ProQuest was made to identify relevant research studies on these 4 fruits. And what did I find? Okay, a ton of published research. So the research on phytonutrients in fruits is robust, to say the least. 67 relevant studies were found on the intrinsic cardioprotective, anti-diabetic, and anti-cancer property of only these 4 fruits. Now, there's no way to go into the details of all 67 studies. I mean, we would be here for a week. But I wanted to give you just a quick snapshot of what was found by highlighting just a few of these studies that were cited in my research. For example, we will start with the humble and unassuming mulberry. So in this study, 16 human subjects with dyslipidemia were studied. So dyslipidemia simply means the subjects had elevated cholesterol and triglyceride levels, which are well-documented risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Now, these subjects were simply given 14 grams of mulberry fruit powder per day for 7 days to investigate the effects of mulberry fruit on cardiometabolic risk factors. And after 7 days of the mulberry fruit powder protocol, fasting blood cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and inflammatory markers of the subjects were all significantly lower. And on top of this, after eating a high-fat meal, given the mulberry powder, the subjects' fasting blood glucose levels were all significantly lower. So think about this. Nothing else was changed in the subjects' lives. No dietary change, no change in physical activity. Simply adding 14 grams of mulberry powder to their food intake per day showed significant improvement in cardiometabolic and insulin sensitivity markers. It's mind-blowing. Just adding a fruit can do this, can have this beneficial effect. All right, or take a look at this study on Jaboticaba, or what they call the tree grape. So a phytonutrient, jaboticabin, and other compounds from Jaboticaba were isolated to test their anti-proliferative effects on colon cancer cells in vitro. Jaboticabin, as well as other isolated phytonutrients from the fruit, showed significant anti-proliferative and cytotoxic properties when applied to cancer cells. Natural, abundant plant compounds that kill and stop the spread of cancer cells. So how about the colossus of the fruit world, the jackfruit? Now, authors of this study tested the effects of jackfruit pulp extract on an aflatoxin as well as lymph node cancer cells. Results found that jackfruit pulp extract not only reduced the number of mutated cells caused by the aflatoxin, but also ameliorated the proliferation of cancer cells. Authors concluded that jackfruit pulp contained chemoprotective compounds that reduce both mutagenicity and proliferation of cancer cells. So these last two studies that I just showed you were done on colon and lymph node cancer cells. But there are also related studies that have been done that I cited in my research, done on breast cancer, cervical cancer, and lung cancer cells, with all with similar results. Natural, abundant, nutritive plant compounds killing cancer. Now, let's not forget about this little cape-wearing fruit called the goldenberry. So a study was conducted to test the hypoglycemic effect of goldenberry consumption by measuring postprandial, which just means after a meal, postprandial serum glucose in young adults. 26 volunteers in their 20s participated, being distributed randomly into two groups. So we had group one, and they consumed 25 grams of goldenberry fruit. It's about 5 berries, only 5 berries, before a meal, and 40 minutes later, they were given a glucose challenge. Now, group two, the control group, was given the same regimen, but without the goldenberry fruit. Now, in group one, blood sugar at 90 and 120 minutes after a meal was significantly reduced compared to the control group. Authors concluded that goldenberry fruit decreased the postprandial glycemic spike at 90 and 120 minutes in young adults. I mean, this has incredible implications in protecting against diabetes, as well as a natural treatment for controlling blood sugar in diabetic patients. This little tiny fruit has superpowers to fight disease. Now you see why the fruit wears a cape, right? Now, so this is that's just a quick glimpse of what the peer-reviewed literature shows on the disease-fighting properties of these 4 fruits. Now, many of these 67 studies cited in my literature review are pretty much in the same vein, with similar experiment designs as well as similar disease fighting results. So I've compiled a table of all 67 studies reviewed with relevant details and highlights. And this table will be available. I'll make it available for public perusal or download for anyone that's interested. So overall, what were my findings for this research? So it was concluded that all 4 fruits reviewed showed incredible potential as a contribution in the prevention and amelioration of cardiovascular disease, cancer, and diabetes. Mulberry and Jabba showed the greatest potential for fighting all 3 chronic diseases due to the high anthocyanin content of their dark pigments. That's what makes the berries dark. That's what gives them their disease-fighting properties. Jackfruit showed promising results, but the seeds showed the most potent effect in staving off these chronic diseases due to the extremely high level of bioactive phytonutrients. Jackfruit seeds are very, very big. They're like a small egg, and they're also quite delicious when roasted or boiled, and absolutely edible. So this was also included in my research. And so the golden berry fruit also exhibited great potential, specifically with potent anti-diabetic qualities. Get a drink here. Okay, so this let's go into a little bit of a discussion, right? So about this about the research that was done here. So solid scientific evidence on the health benefits of plant phytonutrients is essential in today's society that's filled with ultra-processed fast food that ironically fast tracks us to a life of compromised health. So our primary goal, my primary goal here is to give the underprivileged people of Taiwan society the knowledge and the power to access an inexpensive, abundant, and holistic strategy to combat the diseases of affluence. So that being said, it's also hoped that this research can eventually spur more interest and innovation in the area of disease-fighting plants that transcends borders and reaches all strata of society. So the mission here is to empower people to abandon the sick care mentality and turn to a natural, holistic way of thriving and staving off disease. We're facing a global crisis that promotes allopathic sick care, where doctors are encouraged by pharmaceutical companies to advise and encourage patients to medicate with drugs designed to alleviate symptoms of disease without addressing the core problem. So the allure of inconvenience, the allure of convenience has sorely led us astray from the health promoting and natural and unprocessed diets of our ancestors. So the research of this study, along with similar studies, lends significant contribution to the fields of healthcare, epidemiology, clinical and holistic nutrition, dietetics, and lifestyle medicine. You know, for example, the information in this literature review provides useful knowledge in guiding our society back to a natural health promoting diet, and harnesses the natural disease fighting properties of plants. So the research could be used as an informational brochure, for example, that health providers could give to their patients. It could also be used as a part of the foundation for nutritionists and dietitians when designing diet and lifestyle plans for their clients. The study could also be used by governmental services or NGOs in the promotion and cultivation of these nutrient-dense plants in forests, parks, and green spaces around cities and towns. This is especially pertinent in this to this study, as the aim is to provide as I said, the underprivileged and underserved parts of Taiwanese society access to clean, healthy, and inexpensive strategy for combating the diseases of affluence that plague them disproportionately. So if we start to see these beautiful fruits in parks and green spaces, it's a free cure for everybody, right? So this study also has a possible knock-on effect, environmental protection. With unplanned urban sprawl and destruction of the natural environment becoming a global crisis, nurturing knowledge and interest of these incredible plants could lead to an increase in plant cultivation and protection of the natural environment in Taiwan and elsewhere. Education of a holistic lifestyle, permaculture, and living in touch with nature, it goes hand in hand with specific plant and fruit cultivation. So encouraging the cultivation of these species, as well as others, could be a catalyst that starts an environmental restoration revolution. Okay, and finally, this study also has commercial implications. So in recent years, plants have slowly become fashionable again. So there's a growing market of superfoods or superfruits, where we have these nutrient-dense and health-promoting plants. They're dried, preserved, or ground into powder, and then they're sold to the health-conscious, people of the mid and upper classes. You may have heard of the fruits like camu camu or amla or acerola. You most certainly have heard of the name acai, right? I'm sure everybody knows that one. So these fruits, they all started out as humble tropical fruits and have been elevated to superfruit status because of their potential health benefits. So the fruits researched in this literature review, they certainly qualify as superfoods and are ripe for nutritional entrepreneurs who are looking to expand in this area. So some businesses have already started capitalizing on the potential of these four fruits. So several companies have started selling jackfruit chips on Taiwanese supermarket shelves. Companies are starting to produce jams made of goldenberry and jaboticaba using natural ingredients from Taiwanese suppliers. Mulberry vinegar and juice, they're slowly making their way onto the shelves of health stores in Taiwan. So the potential of these fruits as health promoters is limitless. In fact, I've already been in contact with a few of these companies, and we are now working on a collaboration by using this research to promote their products as superfoods. So it's hoped that this study will be one of the sparks that ignites the flame of the Taiwanese superfruit market. Okay, so to wrap this up, I just want to say that at the heart of this thesis is community. Being a positive contribution to the people and environment around me is what drove all of this. The people of Taiwan have been my friends and family for over 20 years now, and this thesis is my contribution to them to show my gratitude and love for this beautiful island and its culture. It's also a way to express my love and affinity for the magnificent fruits that also make Taiwan their home. So it's my hope that bringing these fruits into the public consciousness will not only benefit the health and livelihood of Taiwanese, but also foster protection and reverence for these healing plants. And one final thought before we go is that I hope you can take this thought with you when you leave here. Is that this research is not only relevant to Taiwan. So there are endless rare and underutilized fruits anywhere you go. So the next time you're taking a stroll in the park or hiking on a nature trail and you come across a fruit that you're not familiar with, don't just pass it by. Take a picture of it, Google it, research it. It could truly change your life. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jason. I am so impressed with your presentation here, your work in doing this. I am very pleased to have been your mentor on this program, and I wish you the very, very best. This is excellent.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all of your guidance as well.